Hello, boys and girls. Last time we read, Frida had just gotten swooped up by a hawk. And now the weasels and Warton are going to try building the contraption once again to try to rescue her. Let's see how it goes. Meet us under the hawk's nest, said Fulton to Fritz, and make sure those toads don't run away. The rest of us will look for the snakeskin tubes, whatever they are. Warton, following after Fritz, hurried along as fast as they could. When they reached the cliffs, the weasels were all there, waiting impatiently. Right away, Warton set to work, sewing up the holes and tears that were in the tubes. As soon as they were finished, Fred, Frank, and Felix helped Warton fasten them to the tub. The other weasels helped Warton unsnarl the long rope. Ready here, said Warton, when the rope was neatly coiled to his feet, or at his feet. Me too, said Warton, jumping aboard the tub. Warton began releasing the rope. The balloon gave a hard jerk and immediately lifted off the ground. A powerful wind swept up the face of the cliff and seized the balloon with tremendous force. Warton suddenly looked horrified. Warton, he cried, it's going too fast. I can't hold it back. Immediately the weasels grabbed the rope and with their greater strength easily held the balloon back. Then, under Warton's direction, they managed to keep the delicate snakeskins from being ripped open on the jagged edges of the cliff. Up, up the little craft went. As it rose, everyone kept an eye on the sky, hoping the hawk would not return soon. In a few moments, Warton had a good view of the hawk's nest. He saw that it was mostly a pile of sticks and twigs, set in part of a gnarled bush that somehow grew straight out of the side of a cliff. As he drew closer, he could see several bleached bones sticking over the side of the nest. Then he was alongside it. He raised himself and peered over the edge. There was Frida. Her back was to Warton, and she was scanning the sky intently. I've come to get you, cried Warton. That's what you think, cried Frida, before she'd even turned around. No oily, feathered hookbeak is going to eat me without getting a few lumps first. She swung around, holding a stout stick over her head. Wait, cried Warton, it's me. Frida was wide-eyed. What are you doing here? Did that hawk get you too? I'm here to help you get down, said Warton. You are, said Frida. And how do you expect to do that? In this balloon, said Warton. Jump in and they'll pull us down. Frida looked into the tub, began to laugh. Why, you're just as silly as those brothers of mine. I can't fit in that little old toad tub. Besides, I'm too heavy. We'd hit the rocks so hard we'll splatter all over the hollow. Warton suddenly realized Frida was right. In all the excitement, no one had once thought about the size of the washtub. It was barely large enough to fit two toads. Warton was beginning to feel quite foolish when a great deal of shouting arose from the weasels at the bottom of the cliff. Look, cried Frida, pointing above the distant hills. Warton saw a speck far off in the sky, and it was coming straight towards them. It's the hawk, he cried. The shouting from below was growing louder and more frantic. The hawk was approaching fast. Warton saw Frida pick up her stick and hold it ready. But he knew she would be no match for the powerful bird. He had to do something immediately. But what? Frida, he exclaimed, can you pull this tub into the nest? Now that the hawk was so much closer, Frida did not seem nearly so brave, and she quickly did as Warton asked. As soon as the tub was in the nest, Warton set to work untying ropes. When he untied the last one, the snakeskin tubes, as if sensing their freedom, lifted up. They rose faster and faster till they were high over the nest. Then they disappeared beyond the top of the cliff. Warton hurriedly untied the long rope from the tub and then retied it to the bush. that the nest set upon. All right, he said to Frida. Now, climb down this rope as fast as you can. Are you sure it's safe? She said, looking at the ground far below. It's safer than staying here, said Warton, as he watched the hawk coming more swiftly with each beat of his strong wings. There was no time for delay, and he jumped onto the rope. Look, he shouted to Frida, it's safe. Now hurry and follow down. The hawk was nearly there, coming in high. He put his wings back and went into a steep dive. Frida waited no longer. She covered her head with the tub and climbed quickly over the edge of the nest just as the hawk reached it. He pulled up sharply and turned around in the sky. Warton was halfway down with Frida, right behind him, when he heard the hawk give a terrifying scream. He looked up and saw the hawk go into another dive, this time aiming at the rope. Slide, Warton shouted to Frida. Slide, it's our only chance. He held his breath and loosened his hold on the rope. Faster and faster he went. He looked down and saw the ground coming up at him. He looked up and saw Frida coming down at him. And then he saw the hawk coming straight at him. The next thing Warton knew, there was a thud and the feeling of thick, soft fur all around as he and Frida, Warton, and the other weasels, and the furious hawk, all met in one great crash. The air filled with sounds of the weasels, the toads, and the hawk. Warton, right in the middle of the tumbling mass, saw nothing but flying fur and feathers. Once, for just a moment, he saw the startled face of Warton. As he was turned upside down in mid-air, he heard the clicking of the weasel's sharp teeth and the snapping of the hawk's beak. The screeching and shouting were deafening. And then it stopped. Warton looked about. With great relief, he saw that Warton was safe, though he did look a little dizzy. Fred was sitting on Fritz's stomach. Frida was looking for her bow, which had gotten wrapped around Frank's neck. The rest of the weasels, although a bit battered, seemed all right. For the next few moments, no one said anything. Then all at once, they each said the same thing. "Where's the hawk?" As if to answer from high overhead came a terrible shriek. Everyone looked up. The angry hawk was circling slowly around. He shrieked again and again, but he did not go any lower. "Look," said Fritz, "he's afraid to attack us again." Floyd was grinning. "I guess we're too much for him when we all fight together," he said. There was a sudden silence, and the weasels looked at one another. Then Fulton stood up. "I'm going down to our new home," he said. "So am I," said Felix. "Me too," said Farley. All the other weasels ran after them. "Hey," yelled Francis, "what about the toads?" "Let them go," said Fritz. "We don't need them now." "Well, I'm not sure about that," said Frank. "I've been thinking about having a real toad skin vest." "Is that so?" said Frida. "Well, maybe this will help you think about not having one." And she whacked Frank so hard he staggered backwards. The next thing Warton and Warton knew, the weasels were gone, and they were left standing all alone. They looked at each other. Then, without a word, they picked up the tub and started for the stream as fast as they could go. And I think that's where we're going to end for today. I do not want to leave you hanging. I'll see everyone tomorrow. Bye-bye.